Today's topic, I wanted to talk about Bernie's town hall. Oh, by the way, real quick, yesterday, some of you guys noticed my fiance was home yesterday, and she was using the stove, and you could hear it. I was surprised that it could be heard. I didn't realize the mic could pick it up, but the mic totally did pick it up. And you guys could hear that she was using the stove, and you heard a little sizzle, and people were like, hey, I guess there's bacon at Ron's house. Does anyone want to know what she was actually making? Does anyone want to take a guess? Because it was not bacon. We're doing the vegan thing, so it was not bacon, and it was not fake bacon. It was actually kale. Because I wasn't sure what it was either, and I was wondering. I'm like, I wonder what she's making. It was kale. She was sautéing a little bit of kale with garlic in oil. And it was pretty good, actually. It was very delicious. Very delicious. What's up, Joshua? Good to see you, buddy. So, guys, let's talk about the town hall. I just caught the tail end of it. I caught the tail end of the Bernie Sanders town hall, so I didn't get to hear all the questions. I saw some of the clips after, the lie detector line. You know, Bernie was cracking a joke. It got a good laugh. That was cool. And I saw the reparations part, and, you know, I'll say this. I'm not saying Bernie Sanders is perfect. Of course he isn't. And I've certainly, as of recent, I've disagreed with some of the stuff he's put out there. But if Wolf Blitzer was as hard on every politician as he is on Bernie, there would never be a president in my lifetime that has seen a second term. Wolf Blitzer, and of course he wasn't hard on Bernie in a good way. He was hard on Bernie in a watchdog for the establishment way. I mean, he was pushing back in all the wrong ways. He wasn't pushing back in a constructive way. He was pushing back in all the wrong ways. And it'd be like people would cheer for something Bernie said, and then like Wolf Blitzer had to be like the naysayer. It's like no matter what, Bernie could have been like, grass is green. And then Wolf Blitzer could have been like, you know, sometimes during droughts, the green grass turns a little brown. What do you think about that, Senator? Like, it was just ridiculous. Matthew says, I enjoyed the little jab Bernie Sanders took at Wolf Blitzer. Yeah, when he was saying that he was referencing things that were being divisive. And he said something to Wolf where he's like, I'm sure you're not trying to be divisive at all. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts? Because I didn't see the whole thing. What did Bernie say about reparations? He said that he was interested in learning more because they talked about how Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, I guess, said that they were in favor of it. And he said, okay, yeah, like I'm in favor of the idea. I'm in favor that we need to do something. You know, what are some proposals out there? I would need to see the proposals before I'd have a solid, you know, that was basically his answer. And AJC says that reparations in Venezuela were the weakest answers. He fumbled partly the child care question, where he should have mentioned the bill they killed in 2015 to help Clinton. Tim says the guy with the Russia bullshit question is a communications and democratic strategist that was passed off as an average Joe. Wow, interesting. I didn't remind that. I didn't know that. How did he do on some other questions? So August says that Bernie kicked some major ass last night. Get into specifics. What were some of your favorite parts? So far, everyone's mentioned the things that they didn't care for, but what were some of the things that people did care for? Because I only saw like 2 questions, so I just kind of gave you guys the summary of everything I saw. That was all I saw. I basically saw one question, and Wolf Blitzer just pushing back in a pretty establishment-friendly nature, which I guess is not surprising. AJC says he did good on healthcare. Good to hear it. Glad to hear it. Frederick is saying there were other lobbyists in the crowd asking questions as well, from what I heard. Ron, do you think Bernie would accept big donors' money at some point? No. No, I don't. He directly said you will not be able to keep private insurance. Good. Chip says Wolf Blitzer has been making an ass of himself for more than 40 years at this point. Amar says it was basically his 2016 stump speech against the 1%. And Francois said that he was pretty aggressive. That's cool. Well, I guess we'll see what happens next. I missed most of it. I got to see a little bit of it. I was surprised there wasn't a bigger kind of like a bigger amount of enthusiasm around it. But I guess it's still so early in 2020 that town halls are only so popular. I would certainly argue that it was definitely the most talked about town hall we've had so far. The other one that has been talked about a fair amount, like people talked about Howard Schultz a lot, but they talked about that in the negative. They talked about like how ridiculous is this fucking guy for Howard Schultz. So I would argue that Bernie's town hall, I mean, not many people were talking about Amy Klobuchar, not many people were talking about, So I would say Bernie's has been the most talked about so far. Would you guys agree with that? Disagree with that? And to regulate this says Bernie needs to challenge Elizabeth Warren's childcare plan. It stops support at 200% of federal poverty level, which is where people still need help. Okay. If Bernie wins, he should choose Tulsi as his VP. I agree. Susan, he said he'd bring a lie detector when he debates Trump. Yes, he did. It got a big laugh. But then he followed it up, and the second joke didn't do quite as good. I noticed that. When he was like, yeah, we'd bring a lie detector, it got a big laugh. And then when he was like, so it would go beep, that didn't get as big of a laugh. What about the jobs of killing people for sport Blitzer? Always classy. Yeah, I heard at one point he also brought up, the impact of jobs if we didn't have private health insurance anymore. Wolf was concerned about those jobs, just like Wolf was concerned about the jobs. If we didn't have as much war, Wolf was concerned about the jobs. So, all right, well, I guess we'll see what happens there. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your